and Jill Fulton here. Welcome to our kitchen for another extract making workshop. We're so excited to have everyone here today. This is, I don't know what number this is. We've done many of these this year, but this is a fun one because it's supposed to be springtime, even though it like snowed here this week. There's snow all over the mountains. It's the worst.
I'm freezing.
We're freezing cold. We're wearing like long sleeve because it's cold here. Anyway, it's supposed to be springtime and strawberries are popping up everywhere. The people are counting that we've got strawberries for sale in the store. They're fresh. So it is like the perfect time to do strawberry extract.
Yeah.
So we're excited to do strawberry extract with you. We're excited. We're going to do almond extract as well. We originally had scheduled to change out our banana extract. We're a little bit ahead of schedule. Sometimes the way these lives work out, they don't line up exactly on the month. And as we were preparing today, we thought we want to give the banana another couple of weeks. And so we're going to do the banana change out in our next live, which is on May 22nd, where we do pineapple extract. We're going to change out the banana extract at that point instead of doing it in this one today. So there's a little bit of a change of plan from what was in the summary, right? I think that was the right thing to do. You don't want to rush a banana. You got to let the banana just, do its thing, right?
You
so
don't want to rush anything.
You don't want to rush the extract. And so we made a last minute call and we put the banana stuff away, and we'll do that in the next live. A big welcome to all of our Club Pura members that purchased the annual membership. They're members of our Facebook group. We're so glad to have all of you with us today. It's so fun to see you in all of our lives. They get to attend all of our workshops regularly. And then we've got a lot of new people that follow us on Eventbrite and are here today for the very first time. Welcome. We're excited to have you with us as well. And anyone else. We hope to have a chance to interact with you and talk with you a little through the whole process and answer any questions and make it as fun and interactive as we can via Zoom, right?
Yeah.
So today, strawberry extract, almond extract, and then we'll be giving away a $25 e-gift card to one of you for hanging around the whole time and participating with us today. Did I cover it all?
You sure did.
I'm trying to do it as best I can and as concisely as I can, but there's always a lot. So why don't we go ahead and jump right in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's start making strawberry vanilla extract.
It's really quite easy. And I love that we get to use, what's in the store right now. It's fairly inexpensive because, when you're using fruits that are in season, you get a pretty good deal at the store. And then we're using Everclear, which is also fairly inexpensive. Totally. So the beans are the only thing that are a little bit pricey.
Yeah, and so just to tee it up, the very first thing that everyone talks about when we're making extracts, especially fruit extracts, is fresh fruit versus dried fruit, right? And we're going to use fresh fruit for all the reasons that you just said. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk a little bit as we go through it about the pros and cons of fresh versus dry, why we like fresh, why we use fresh, but we also use dry sometimes as well. We're going to explore both of those today, but we're going to make a fresh fruit one because we just love how it turns out.
Yeah. And we want you to see the option that you have. You can do both.
You can do both.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So the first thing, if you have our book and you want to follow along, this is on page 101, our strawberry vanilla extract. The first thing is we are using our tahitensis wahine beans. That's what this is. If you can see how big these are, my goodness, like these beans are so big. And there's only 2 of them. I'm going to slice them down the middle, and then I'm going to cut them into smaller pieces. The reason I'm slicing them down the middle is because I want all of my caviar, which we like to call, or the seeds of the vanilla, I want that all to get into my extract. Because there's only 2 of them, I want to get all that I can get into this extract. Now, this is a strawberry forward extract. So we are just putting 2 beans in here to kind of bind the strawberries, to give just a little bit of vanilla flavor and add a little bit of a softness to this extract. If you just want to make plain strawberry extract, you don't have to add the vanilla, but I think that's a crime.
Just to add a few other points about this particular vanilla, the reason that we called for a Tahitian vanilla, and in the book we say Tahitian, you can use really any form of a V. tahitensis, the tahitensis species. It's most well known in Tahiti. We're using the wahine. It's from one of the islands in Tahiti. but you could use like an Ecuadorian tahitensis or an Indonesian tahitensis. The reason that we're using those is because they have kind of a fruity undertone that's different from traditional Madagascar beans. They're still vanilla forward, and all vanilla beans are, but these have kind of that floral, fruity, sometimes cherry is what a lot of people will tease out. Sometimes you can tease out tropical fruit as well. And then the reason that we chose the wahine is their size, like Jill said. So in the book, we call for 2 because, like you said, it's an accent. But we're always like, well, if it's 2, let's go like a big 2. And then, so sometimes when you get into like the tahitensis beans in Ecuador or in Indonesia, they're small. So if you have smaller tahitensis beans and you want to add a 3rd or you want to add a 4th, you're certainly welcome to do so. You can be as liberal as you want on the vanilla. The point that we're trying to make is that vanilla accent against the strawberry. It's just one of those flavors that was like meant to be. So we've made both. We've made it with and without, and we just like what vanilla does as sort of an accent flavor behind the strawberry or behind any of the fruit that we're using. And in all the extracts that we're going to be making, you'll see that almost always we're adding a vanilla bean in.
Well, our journey started with vanilla.
Totally.
We have a lot of vanilla around the house. And so then from there, it just sprouted out to all these other things of what can we do with our vanilla. And it's just, we learn new things all the time. We're always adding vanilla into all kinds of recipes, both sweet and savory.
Yes. But if you're talking to 2 people that work all day, every day in vanilla, and we wrote a book about vanilla, and we're saying use vanilla, obviously our opinion's just a little bit biased, but we love vanilla, so we always recommend it. But you make it with or without, it's totally up to you. In this recipe, it's not so much about the vanilla as it is about the strawberries. Yep.
But you can tell the difference if you do not have the vanilla in there. There's definitely a vanilla accent in there. So, okay, so I've got my 2 wahine tahitensis beans in here that have that fruity undertone. And then I'm going to add 8 ounces of fresh strawberries into the jar on top of the beans. I like to put the beans on the bottom just so they don't float to the top, and I make sure that, they're getting extracted fully. So I just add those in first, and then I'm just adding in all of my strawberries here. My hands are clean, I promise.
So why she's adding them in, should we talk dried versus fresh a little bit now while you're adding them in?
Yes.
So I'm not going to go into too much detail because we have other videos and workshops that we've done talking about extracting fresh fruit with the use of Everclear. So in this case, we're using a very high proof Everclear. It's 190 proof, so it's 95% alcohol. You can get online for whatever fruit you're extracting. You can Google what the average moisture content is of that particular fruit, and that'll tell you how much moisture you're putting into your solution. So in our case, I've got 95% alcohol, 8 ounces. We weighed our strawberries. We're going to be adding 8 ounces of strawberries that have, on average 90% moisture content, which means we're adding water to our alcohol solution. And so we went 8 ounces and 8 ounces specifically so we can measure. And we know that with the moisture content, we're going to dilute the alcohol with the moisture content from the strawberries. We're going to dilute the alcohol almost 50%. It's a little bit less. It's like 42 or 43%. And that will get our overall alcohol content just below 50% in this bottle. Now, those of you that have been making extracts for a long time, you'll know that the sweet spot for making extracts is always between 35% and 50% alcohol, which is 70 to 100 proof. So our goal when we're extracting, our playground, we call it the extract maker's playground, is right between 35% alcohol and 50% alcohol. We don't want to go too high because we've learned that can hurt the beans. We don't want to go too low because it won't extract and can even ferment. And so we're trying to always work in the window. So with the 8 ounces of strawberries and with the 8 ounces of alcohol, or 190 proof, 95% Everclear, we're going to get an alcohol content that comes in right around 47%. And then when we come back in a month and we do our first change out, we're only going to add 4 ounces of fresh fruit. We're going to add half, which is essentially saying we're going to add half the amount of moisture that we added the first time. And that's going to bring our alcohol content down to about 37%. And then we're done.
Yeah, you can't go you can't go lower than that, you know,
Right.
or you'll be below that playground of 35% to 50%. And that's kind of the biggest drawback of fresh fruit, is that you can't change out and add more fruit and add more fruit till you want, you know, till you get that perfect strong strawberry flavor. You're limited on how many times you can put fruit, you know, the fresh fruit in here, just because of all that water you're adding in. But we have found that 12 ounces of strawberries is sufficient, and it's delightful. It's really very good.
It makes a great extract. The other question that we get asked is, well, if you know that you're putting in 4 ounces later, why not just go ahead and put the 12 ounces in right now, and then put the 8 ounces of Everclear, and you're good to go. And the reason is you probably could, you'd have to find a bottle where you can really smash all the strawberries down to make sure that the alcohol covers the strawberries in their entirety. So what we have found is it's hard to get them covered completely with just 8 ounces of Everclear. And so that's the reason that we go 2 rounds. We just haven't been able to successfully find a way to do it in a real easy way to make sure that those strawberries are submerged in the alcohol the whole time that they're extracting. And to Jill's point, and it's always a point, with dry, you can change it out more frequently. You can add, you know, you can do more change outs to get more sweetness. One of the drawbacks of fresh is that you can't, but we found that we got a great strawberry taste with fresh at a much lower price, and it's very easy to make, and it's absolutely something that you can use in your summertime dishes, in your gelatos, in your ice cream, in your smoothies, sweetbreads, even like a splash in like a summertime cocktail to add some strawberry flavor. All of those things are of great use for our strawberry extract.
A little glaze over your strawberry scones. I think I'm gonna have to try that.
Yes.
I just thought of it just now. I'm like, I'm gonna need to try that.
So those are some of the questions that we get asked, and you know, the answers that have been given that we've learned kind of through trial and error as it relates to using fresh strawberries. We hope that explanation was a little helpful. It's more fun just watching the extract cam and watching you make it than listening to us talk, but those are all really important points that come up.
Yes, and also the difference between the fresh and the freeze-dried or the dried strawberries. The dried fruit is obviously more expensive.
Very much
and
so.
You can get a much stronger extract through the dried fruit because of all those change outs, but also the cost goes up. The dried fruit will soak up your alcohol quite a bit, so you're going to have to add in ever so often a little bit more vodka, which is also a little bit more expensive. So it's a trade-off, you know. With the fresh fruit, you can use what you have, what the resources you have. Either they're in season at the store, or you have your own strawberries in the backyard. That's what's nice about the fresh fruit. It's more economical. But if you want to go all the way and get the strongest strawberry extract you can get, you'll probably want to go the dried fruit route.
Now, we have a freeze-dried recipe on our website. We'll probably do a workshop where we actually use freeze-dried too, but where we're following our book right now, you know, we're focusing on the fresh, but you know, freeze-dried works well.
It does.
Yeah.
Both of them work well, and we want you to know that you can do either one.
Both are, and
they're both options. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, so we are just going to add in the 8 ounces of Everclear here, and this is going to sit for a month, and then we are going to take out the strawberries and put another 4 ounces in and let that go for a month. I actually have one here that's finished, so we can take a look at it. You'll see what the strawberries look like, what the extract looks like after the 2 months.
While she's pouring that, well, I'll let me see how to pour it. But while she's pouring that, one of the questions we get asked, Everclear is regulated by a lot of states. And so there are some states that only sell like a 160 proof or a 150 proof or a 120 proof. And so you're going to have to do some basic math in your mind in terms of whether or not you'll be able to do more than one fresh fruit application. Again, keeping that 35 to 50% alcohol content, 70 to 100 proof in mind. So for example, if your state is a state that only sells, say a 160 proof Everclear, that's 80% alcohol. And so if you add then 8 ounces of Everclear to 8 ounces of oranges, you're going to cut that 80 almost in half. It's going to be about 40%, 41, 42% alcohol with your very first application. That means you're not going to be able to do a change out. You're going to be limited to just that one round of fresh strawberries. Because if you add another 4 ounces, you're going to go under that 35%, and you're not going to get a true extract. And so that's another, thing that you've got to weigh out based on availability of alcohol within your state and what you're able to do. In Utah, we're able to get the 190, and it was through our group that we found out people started commenting, hey, in my state, and I can't remember which ones, but they can only get a 160.
Yeah, I
even
didn't
a
know
120.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's unusual that we can actually get that in here in Utah.
Correct. Yes. Normally we can't, but we can on that. Yeah.
Or you call your friend that's in a neighboring state to pick some up for you.
Exactly.
We do that sometimes. Okay, I do want to tell you that we didn't talk about this, but this jar size is actually 16 ounces. You're going to need a jar size that's about double the fluid that you're putting in, just because you're adding in so many strawberries and then the vanilla at the bottom. You're going to want a 16-ounce jar. Now, mason jars work absolutely amazing. This is our Elena jar. I like this just because it takes less space in my cupboard. And then also it's fairly easy to get things in and out. And I think it's cute too.
It looks fantastic. And then the other thing with jars is there's the jar that you make it in, and then there's the jar that you use it in. And so part of making it is, sometimes it's form or function before form. And then when you're done and you get rid of all of the old fruit, you can pour it into the smaller jars, the cuter jars, whatever you want to use. It's going to be convenient in your cupboard and around your house, right?
Yeah.
We love the French squares, open neck, easy to use. Sometimes you got to muddle the stuff down. In this case, it fits all perfectly.
No,
so we don't really have to.
It's perfect, but I use my cocktail muddle for all kinds of things.
Yes.
If the fruit is popping up, and you're going to want to check on this ever so often, because sometimes it'll settle down and the fruit will be poking out the top. If you go in there and you see it and you need to just kind of push it down, just check on it ever so often. Make sure that all of the fruit and the vanilla are submerged in the alcohol. But oh gosh, this color is so pretty.
And
this
sometimes
red.
a fun little hack is we use our cocktail mixer, the flat base of the cocktail mixer. Sometimes if you need to muddle and you've ended up using a jar that has a smaller neck, you show it under maybe the cam. I don't know if they can see it, but something like that, you can use the end and it works just great as sort of a makeshift muddler.
Yeah, it fits in just really nicely into the jar here. So I can just go around pushing all of it down in there. I really don't love having to buy everything new for a new hobby because it can be pricey. So I am really good at going through all of my cupboards and trying to find something that works that I already have. And surprisingly, my cocktail mixer and my muddler have come in handy more than I would have ever thought.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about what to expect now while you're waiting for the extraction to begin when you put it in the alcohol. We see this a lot in our Facebook group where people will, like right now I'm seeing with garlic extract, people put garlic in the alcohol and it'll turn to like a green or a blue and they'll get worried about it because all of these things have different reactions to the alcohol. So we wanted to show you an older one that is about ready for
it. It is ready.
It is ready.
It's done.
This one is finished. So we'll show you what it looks like underneath the extract can
we kind of want you to see how this ends up.
It's going to turn dark. The strawberries are going to turn brown. That's what they look like. And that's, if you kind of hold it close, there they are. And that's absolutely okay. That's what you should expect.
Because you have all that vanilla in there, it's going to have a brown color.
Yep.
And then also the strawberries, they don't stay. I mean, that is a gorgeous color, right? But they're not going to stay like that for very long. Let's open this up and we'll show you how, when it's finished, what you do.
Okay.
So what we do is this has been going for 2 months. So I'm just going to take my strainer here and I'm going to just pour it in here. And I want you to see what those strawberries look like. They don't look too appetizing.
There you go.
And you can see the vanilla beans in there. And what I'm going to do is I will always, would you rinse that out just to get the pieces of strawberry out? What I like to do here is I always put my vanilla back into the extract because it can continue to extract while I can still use it with this, it's ready because the strawberry is the forward ingredient here. But over time, you can just get more and more vanilla flavor. So put the vanilla back in. If you don't want to, you can, put them in your other jar or mix sugar but I wouldn't take those out. I would put them back in because it's only going to get more vanilla flavor in there.
Absolutely. Leave the vanilla beans so long as they're submerged in the alcohol. And then when they're not submerged, the next question we get asked is it okay to take your vanilla beans that have been extracting with fruit and put them into your mother jar? And the answer is, of course it is. But with cautions, it depends on the size of your mother jar. If you have a smaller mother jar and it's your very first one, you're going to get some of the fruit taste that transfers over. The bigger the mother jar and the more variety of beans you have, the more you get kind of an even blend of flavors versus, you know, one that is more dominant than another. So if strawberry vanilla beans are your first addition to maybe 1 ounce of used vanilla beans, you're certainly going to notice, I think, some of those strawberry notes coming out inside your mother jar. If it, like us, we have that 1 gallon, I don't think we have it here, but our 1 gallon with, I don't know, like 15, 18, 20 ounces of vanilla beans, you're not going to get a lot of strawberry coming through.
You're not, but I didn't start with a gallon. That's not how I started. I started with a quart jar. And, you know, I thought it was fun to be able to like taste it after, you know, you've got, you know, a certain kind in there. It's been in there for a while. And I love, it's like an experiment.
Absolutely.
And yours is going to be different than anyone else's,
Yep.
you know, with whatever you're adding into that mother jar. It's not going to taste like anyone else's. I have several different mother jars and they all taste different.
Yep.
And I don't know if I'm going to be able to replicate them all because it's a repository of whatever I have at the time.
Yes.
So to replicate that, it might be difficult because I'm not making those exact extracts again.
There you go.
So, okay. So just really quickly, I'm just going to squeeze out the rest of this alcohol out of the strawberries. Just because I know there's just a little bit of Everclear still in here.
And we talk about this in every one, and you can keep watching the extract cam, but we wish that we could somehow transfer smell.
I know.
Because as soon as you pour it into there, right now, our kitchen smells like strawberries and vanilla.
Vanilla.
And it's wonderful.
Yes.
But the strawberries are the forward flavor because the vanilla hasn't been extracting long. So really it's mostly strawberries, but that vanilla comes through very nicely. And I can't recall in the one that we're changing out, did we use, it was 2 large beans as well? Or, because it looks like maybe we'd even put a few more in there, but I think it was 2 of the.
No, I went a little heavy on,
went a little heavy on the vanilla on that
these.
one.
Yeah, but I wanted them to see how you squeeze out the strawberries. And then I want you to see what it looks like. The color of it.
You gonna take it?
Yeah, don't waste that because I'm going to put the vanilla back in.
You got it.
But if you can see the color and then you can see all of the caviar in there, I mean, that is beautiful. And I do wish you could smell this because it just smells so strawberry vanilla. I mean, wow. I can't, I want to put that in some whipped cream and just.
Yes. Well, we'll be doing that when we taste test the one we just made. We'll be doing that the next time we come back to the one we just made.
Yeah.
Maybe we use whipped cream instead of milk that time, just to.
I know, maybe.
Whipped cream.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
So what we would then do is you're going to put that.
I'm going to put that back in, and I'm not going to put the vanilla back in just yet to save time, but I will do that later. But you can see now I've got about, and I didn't measure it, but it's about 8 ounces, which is what we started with. And so we'll add the vanilla back in there, and this is ready. You can, 2 months and you're ready to start using it.
Well, and again, where we're saying it was about 8 ounces, it's what we started with. It's about 8 ounces, but we added the moisture from the fruit as well. So there's still quite a bit of alcohol that's inside the vanilla beans and also inside the strawberries that we didn't press out because we've got all that extra moisture that isn't there, in this final.
Yes,
right?
And I can't, I can squeeze all the Everclear I can get out of those strawberries, but some's going to be absorbed in that. It's going to be lost in there, and I'm guessing I should have measured that. Let's measure it. I'm just curious. Let's see. We've got an 8 ounce.
Let's measure it just to see exactly. I think you're right. I think it's actually just there.
Can you guys see this? It is
just about 8 ounces, just a little shy.
Just a little shy of 8 ounces.
And so what is left is likely, and there's some that's dripping, but inside the beans as well as inside the strawberries. And so that's, you know, when you're dealing with fruit, and like Jill mentioned earlier, when you're dealing even with dried fruit, it's even more so. It works like a sponge. It just sucks it all up. And so you really have to kind of work and muddle and push all of that alcohol out to get as much out of it as you can, right?
And we'll just let it drain for a little bit. If I get a little bit more, sometimes just let gravity do its job and let it just sit there for a bit. And then whatever's left, I add it to the jar as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, can't wait to try some of that.
Yes. So we'll look forward to seeing you in about a month where we do the change out. And then the month after that, we'll be doing the taste test of the strawberry one.
I hope it's not confusing to any of you. I know we have some of our experts here that have been extracting for years and have been using Everclear. But if does anybody have any questions or you know, about the Everclear, the difference between you know, how much alcohol you have to use? Please let us know so we can clarify. You know, if that's confusing to you.
Yep. And we've told Did interrupt us at any time as we're talking. We're going to kind of keep going, but if anything pops up and you do have a question, Did knows to just chime in and interrupt, and we'll stop and we'll answer questions.
Yep.
And we'll chat a little bit after the live as well.
Yeah.
Right? Very
Yeah,
good.
Thanks, guys. There were some questions about the alcohol percentages, but I think you answered them as you went. I think you read our minds, but maybe at the end, if there's still some confusion, we could come back to that.
Do you recall like what one of those questions may have been? Was it about the dilution rate?
Let me
just to make sure that I want to make sure I address it all.
Oh no, I think you did. It was somebody, let me see. Karen, she can only get the lower proof Everclear in her state. So she was wondering if that meant that she had to use dried fruit instead.
Well, and that's the challenge that we've learned, where Everclear is very limited. But the quick answer is you're only going to be able to do one. You're not going to be able to do the second change out where we add another 4 ounces. So you're going to get, you know, 50% less of the strawberry taste that those that are able to get the 190 proof Everclear have from the very beginning. So in your case, you might be better off going dry. And then, you know, you can certainly look at dehydrated, which is a little less expensive than freeze dried. You know, there's pros and cons. Dehydration uses heat sometimes, and sometimes the flavor will be a little bit different with dehydrated than it is with freeze dried. But if you're, you know, worried about cost, then dehydrated is less expensive than freeze dried. Freeze dried is kind of the most expensive because of the process that it goes through. But unfortunately, unless you can get, you know, Everclear that's at the higher proof, you might be in trouble. You can look and go online and order food grade ethylene, which is essentially food grade alcohol that's high proof. You can try to buy that. A lot of commercial extract makers use that. And where you're buying it sort of in its raw food grade form, the regulations tend to soften. So you might be able to order that online and get that in and explore with that. Where we have Everclear, we don't have to sort of go out and find, you know, bulk alcohol, food grade alcohol for use, you know, in what we do here. So unfortunately, I think that you're going to have to use dry, or you're going to have to find like a commercial food grade alcohol source that does ship to your state for cooks and people that are actually using it in cooking applications.
Also, we didn't mention there is overproof rum. So if you have the option of finding some rum that's, you know, 190 proof, it's out there, and it adds just a little bit more sweetness because it's sugar cane based.
Yeah, in fact, I think, as I recall, we use the high proof rum in our peach extract. So when we get into peach season and we make our peach extract together from our book, we're actually going to use the high proof rum. It's spiced and it has some extra flavor, and it's a lot of fun. But again, it's an option, but state by state, it just depends what you're able to access. So hopefully we gave you a couple of tips in there that'll help you make yours at home. Okay, well, let's keep moving along. And Did interrupt us at any time. We'll just keep moving along, and then we'll have a little time for some Q&A at the end.
Do you mind rinsing that out?
Yep, we'll rinse this out. So should we jump into our next extract?
Yes.
I love this one.
This is an interesting one. This is our almond extract, except for we're not extracting almonds.
This is the question we always get. It's our almond extract, and they're like, oh, almonds. No, you don't use almonds for almond extract.
Some people have. But we have found that it was very bitter and it didn't quite taste like almonds when we used almonds. And so we found that using apricot, bitter apricot kernels gives us that almond taste. Who would have ever known?
Right.
Right?
The things that we've learned along our journey. And so a lot of people, in fact, I think we've got a recipe on our website where you can use almonds. And so the purists out there that want like pure almond extract, there is a recipe and you can use almonds. But what we found is sometimes we as consumers think that a product should taste a certain way. And when it doesn't, we find things that make it taste the way that we believe it should taste, even though that it doesn't. And so this is a perfect example of one of those things where we use bitter, sweet apricot kernels. We always recommend sweet, but they're both bitter and sweet. They're both sweeter than what we experience with just plain almonds. This is one of those cases where these wonderful little apricot kernels give us an almond sweet taste. This is what commercial extract makers use when they're making almond extracts, unless they're adding, you know, different sweeteners and artificial sweeteners to it to get like that sweet taste. This is what's being used. And so this is what we use in our book. And it creates a marvelous extract that we call almond extract because it does taste like almonds, the way almonds taste when you're eating them, not the way almonds taste when you're extracting.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going for. Did I say that right? Have we thoroughly confused all of you now? Join us next week when we make pineapple extract with an orange. It's going to be amazing. I'm joking. We're not going to do that.
They kind of look like little almonds, to tell you the truth. And really, if you have an apricot tree, and I did at my previous house, I had a fabulous apricot tree that just, I mean, we had apricots coming out of our ears, but I can't seem to get one here to grow. No. The deer like them more. They won't allow them to get going.
We've struggled with the deer.
Yeah, but if you take a look, this is what an apricot kernel looks like. That's the inside of an apricot pit. And so if you have an apricot tree, you could laboriously crack all those open and try and get these kernels out. But we just went ahead and bought them on Amazon. So that was an easy way for us to just get our apricot kernels.
Absolutely. So, and they're lovely. They're easy to get, easy to source. Amazon's got quite a few of them. That's a great place to go. We currently don't offer these. We haven't been able to find a source yet. We'd love to, but we currently don't. And so Amazon has them. Yep. Okay,
so the ingredients to this recipe are, again, this is an almond forward recipe with that vanilla binding accent to it. So we're just going to be adding 2 Madagascar beans, which is that buttery, creamy, wonderful vanilla that we are all very familiar with. And so we're going to add that to this wonderful almond extract.
Yeah, we always say, if you ever wonder what vanilla bean to use as a binder or an enhancer, Madagascar is always the safest place to start. That's the traditional bean.
Yeah, that's what we all, I mean, that's 70% of the vanilla comes, you know, from Madagascar. So that's what we're used to vanilla tasting like.
We love it. You can never go wrong with a Madagascar.
You can never go wrong with that. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go down the middle because I want all of that caviar into this extract. I love seeing all those specks. Most of the flavor comes from the oils from the pod, but you are getting flavor from the beans. And it also, I think it's something, it's a mind thing. When you see the specks, when you see those specks in your vanilla, you can taste the vanilla even more, I think, and it just makes us happy.
This is a discussion we have a lot.
Yes. Okay, so again, the vanilla beans go in first.
For the same reason. We're just trying to keep them buried underneath.
They're all buried underneath, just in case they float up to the top. The apricot kernels will keep them down at the bottom. So I'm just going to fill this up.
So while you're filling that up, should I talk a little bit about
it comes up in our group, it comes up a lot that there is some toxicity with the apricot kernels. There can be an accumulation of cyanide after you ingest it. And so why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so well, first, we've been kind of interchanging bitter and sweet. We use both. like bitter and sweet apricot kernels. They sell them in both the bitter form and the sweet form. We've used both. We recommend sweet because they're sweeter, but we haven't noticed a significant difference in a finished extract. So we're okay with both bitter and sweet, but sweet is what we kind of recommend because it's sweet. And it's supposedly a little sweeter, but we've had great experiences with both. That's one. Two, like Jill mentioned, that there's always a toxicity discussion that comes up when you're talking about apricot pits and apricot kernels that you've got to be aware of. So we always make sure we're very conscious that when we purchase product, you read the labels and you look at what it says. So in our case, we source apricot kernels that are USDA organic certified. That's important to us. And in the ones that we sourced, it said, there's a caution on it, says, do not consume more than 2 to 3 kernels per day. And so the concern is regular consumption of apricot kernels. So when we're using them to make extracts, our whole goal is to extract the oils from the kernel, but we're not going to leave the kernels in. We're going to remove the kernels when it's time to use the extract. And so we're trying to get all the oils out, and then the kernels themselves. This is the one time that I can think of when we don't recommend pulverizing or reusing in any form. Typically, when we're done extracting with apricot kernels, the used kernels go into the trash. Those of you that want to clean your kernels or take any steps at all to make them less toxic, you can get online. Like Jill said, there's lots of reputable companies that have done research on it. You can soak them, you can heat them, you can peel off the outer skin. All of those things sort of, mitigate the amount of the accumulating toxins that they're concerned about. In our case, where we're using the apricot kernels again to make an extract, and the serving size of an extract is 1 teaspoon. That 1 teaspoon then goes into a cooking application, like a cake or something. And then that cooking application is eaten over time or shared by, over time. I'm laughing. If it's a cake in our house and our boys are here, it's eaten in like an hour and a half. But it's shared over time with lots of people. It's not something that we worry about. We're not concerned about it because of its uses in extract and the application of extract and the fact that extract serving sizes are 1 teaspoon of product. And so, but we are conscious, or we're aware of it. And we don't, recommend pulverizing the apricot kernels to use them as like a garnish, like we do with like spent coffee beans or spent cacao. After we make a coffee or a cacao extract, we always say, or pecans, we always say pulverize them and use them as like a garnish because they'll have a little bit of that vanilla flavor in there. We don't recommend doing it based on what the companies are saying and the warnings that they put on the label. We don't want to put ourselves in a position where we're consuming the equivalent of 2 to 3 apricot kernels per day over an extended period of time. So that's the concern. That's the research that we've done. We always talk about it because we're all learning together with everyone. So we say research it as well. When it comes to food, when in doubt, don't, is what we always say. And so we try to approach things very cautiously, and we're aware of it. We mention it in our book that you need to be aware of toxicity discussions related to apricot kernels. That's sort of our approach, and that's what we do in our home. And that's been a good thing and a fine thing for us, but it's something that we'd always encourage you to research and make sure that you're comfortable with it. If you're nervous about it, you can go back to almonds. And an almond extract made with almonds with vanilla beans can be a good extract, but it's just not as sweet as you get with the apricot kernels.
And all of stone fruits have this same toxicity. So, I mean, all of the different stone fruits have this, these core inside the middle. And so in all of the different fruits, you'll want to be careful there.
Yep, they just come out of the ground that way, and or they come out of the bloom that way. And there's things that we all just do our best to be aware of all these different fruits and foods and things that we're consuming every day. And so this is one where we want to make sure we're talking about it. We put it in the book so everyone can be aware. Do your research and make sure that you're comfortable consuming apricot kernels. In our home, we're comfortable. We use it. We love it. It's a great extract.
Yep. Just read the label on whatever you buy and go from there.
There you go. I think we covered all those points. Yep.
So again, we're just adding 8 ounces of vodka this time. Most all vodka is 40% alcohol. So there's, that's right in the sweet spot that we like, between 35 and 50%.
And, she's using Tito's, and I'm going to digress just a little bit. The spirits that you choose are a fun thing in extract making, right? We have people that, for example, if you sourced your apricot kernels from California and you got your vanilla beans from Hawaii. And then you want to use like a Tito's vodka, and it's like an all-American extract. And that's fun. People do that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you want to go international, if you want to go, so spirits are a place in extract making where we can let a little bit of our personality and some creativity come through. So the Tito's is always a fun one. It's a great vodka. It's made in Texas. We've used it for, I don't know how many extracts, but
Yeah,
it's kind of a mid-shelf.
It's
affordable.
a middle shelf. It's
Yeah.
not expensive. You know, we haven't had too much problem. We don't usually go to the bottom shelf. A couple of times we've used, especially bourbon, one or two vodkas we've used have not been very good. So we kind of stick with middle of the shelf. You definitely don't need a top shelf vodka unless you just have Grey Goose in your, and you really like Grey Goose and it's already in your cupboard, and you can just add a splash of 8 ounces into your extract, but it's not required or necessary.
There you go.
Okay, so we're just going to add in the 8 ounces here. Whoops. This is going to go right up to the top. I'm going to push this down a little bit.
Nothing to it. That fit about as snugly as you could have it fit, right?
It is snug, and you could get a bigger jar if you wanted.
Yeah.
But I like that it fits it all the way to the top.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of mixing it up a little bit. You can already see that the color of it's kind of cloudy.
Mm-hmm.
It'll settle down after a while. And then when you're finished with this, you can strain it. So you get all those little sediments out if you want.
Yeah.
I don't use a coffee filter because I want to keep some of my vanilla flecks in there. But I do strain it to get some of those bigger pieces that are coming off the apricot kernels.
Yeah. And when this one is ready, we'll come back. We'll keep this. Let's put our dates on it. We'll save it for the next time, and then we'll have a workshop when we open this one back up and we do our taste tests. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't put the label on the strawberry.
Oh, that's
which
right.
I should probably do that.
There it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put the label on the vanilla here. I just use masking tape while I'm in the process of creating them because I can take them off easily and then change out different directions that I need. So I am just going to put on my labels. I always put the date that I start here on the bottom, and then I'll put a change out in a month. I'll add 4 ounces. And then this guy's going to sit for 2 months. And then we're going to taste test this. We know that a lot of people in our group like to go through 2, 3, maybe even 4 change outs because they like that almond flavor to be a little bit stronger. And you're welcome to do that. It's not going to, you're not adding any water like you are with the fresh fruit. So you can change out as many times as you want. You can keep adding new apricot bitters. Why can I not talk today? Sorry, you guys, my brain is just like, whoa.
Because it was supposed to be spring and it's winter. It's got all of us off sync.
I'm freezing.
Right. It's but you can add more kernels and
kernels. Yeah, that's the word.
And so we always say this, and I don't think we've said it here in this workshop, but we hope that our book again is just a starting point. It's a springboard for you to then change and adjust and add to our recipes, to our starting points that we've shared in the book. That you kind of go from there and make them all your own. So the joy of extract making is that it is a developing craft. We learn new things every single day. And so when we get into now taste testing, and we're coming up on a number of workshops where we're going to start taste testing all the ones that we started making when we started this series last year. It's all about taste testing and then refining, and then taste testing and refining. So taste test as often as you want. Refine if you feel like you need to refine. If you want to add more flavor, add more flavor. On the strawberries, say the fresh strawberries, when you taste that, if you want more strawberries, but you've already diluted it to the level you can, you could add some dry strawberries to the mix and add even more if you want to add more. Meaning there's so many things where you can sort of build and change and alter these extracts to come up with flavors that have never been invented before that you then get to use in your cooking in your home. That's what we hope we wake up in everyone, is this sort of creative side of your mind where you start creating flavors that are in your cabinet that you can pull out when you're cooking anything and you say, you know what? This would be great with a little pineapple extract. This would be great with a little strawberry. This would be great with an almond. This would be great with a pecan. This would be great with whatever it is. Now they're all at your fingertips. You use them, change them, adjust them, have fun with them. That's the point, right?
So we're just giving you the foundation here. We're giving you these recipes that we know are good, and then you try it and see what you think, if you think it's just right, or you think you want to add something else, or you need to add more apricot kernels, then that's up to you. But our job here is we just want to give you like the foundation, and then like Paul said, get those creative juices rolling to create your own unique extract.
There you go. So that is step one of almond extract with sweet apricot kernels and Madagascar vanilla beans. We're going to come back and we'll be doing taste tests here in the near future on this one, and on both of them, really. Both of these, I think we're going to taste test over the summer, so they're both coming up.
Yep.
So we hope that all of you that are with us today can join us for that one as we sort of follow the journey of these little lives, of these little bottles of extracts that we're making.
Yes, and
we'll send them off to college. Each one of them.
Yeah, and you store them just like you store your vanilla in a dark, cool cupboard. Doesn't have to be cold. It just cool. Don't put it, below the oven or above the oven. Just in a cupboard somewhere in the kitchen, somewhere it's out of the light. If you have dark bottles, then you can keep them on your counter. But if they're clear like ours, you'll want to keep them out of sunlight.
Keep them out of the UV rays and keep them away from heat as much as you can. You'll get the best results where the flavor compounds won't be damaged. And that's what we're always worried about, is heat, UV rays that can hurt those flavor compounds that we're trying to get into the extract solution. We don't want that to happen. So there we go.
And has anybody made a strawberry vanilla extract, or strawberry extract, or the almond extract? And what have you found? What have you put it in? I want to know if you've made it, or what you want to put it in, what you're looking forward to putting in. I would love to hear that.
Yeah, if there just happens to be someone here that's watching that's made one, you've got some experience, we'd love to hear it. Let Did know. And
yeah, we have experts here, we have beginners here. It would be fun to hear what you're using this stuff in, or what you want to use it in.
Yeah. So as Did's going through notes, and Did chime in anytime if there's anything, let's go ahead and pick our winner. Okay.
Yes.
We always want to say thanks to those of you that join us. We love having you here in our kitchen. We really have been doing these. I think we're on 4 years now that we've been doing lives and workshops in our kitchen. The first one, the camera was sideways, and we went like 5 minutes like sideways. So we're trying to get a little better every single time. We're getting there, but
it's a slow process. Have patience with us.
when hobbies all of a sudden become more than hobbies, like we're all learning together. But we're always so appreciative of those of you that take an hour out of your day to join us and to come into our kitchen. We appreciate it. So we just go through and we kind of randomly pick names, and I've been looking at people that are attending today. Nancy Morgan, thank you so much for attending today. You're our winner of a $25 e-gift card on vanillapura.com. Email us at support@vanillapura.com, and we'll make sure that we get that e-gift card sent right away. But thanks so much for being here, and we hope that you enjoy that gift certificate. Helps you maybe get some vanilla beans or some equipment, some jars, so you can start your next extract. Our next workshop is going to be on May 22nd, which is also a Tuesday at the same time, 4 o'clock Mountain Time. We're in Utah. And we're going to be going over pineapple extract because it's summertime. So we're kind of into the fruit mode here. And so pineapple extracts coming up May 22nd. That's just 2 weeks from now. And so hopefully all of you that are with us today can join us there, and we'll jump into pineapple extract, which should be a whole lot of fun. Follow us on Eventbrite. You can be made aware on Eventbrite of any of our upcoming events. We're kind of using Eventbrite now to organize events. They do a really good job of having the old ones and the new ones, and we can get word out and make it as easy as we can for people to find the link. So you can follow us on Eventbrite. Club Pura members, we always post the link in our Club Pura Facebook group, so you can just click that link, join the Zoom for free. One of the perks of being a member of Club Pura. So thanks again to all of our Club Pura members. Follow us on YouTube, where at Vanilla Pura, that's where we put all of, the older ones. So for those of you that want to sort of research and study, we'll always have them on YouTube because they do a good job organizing videos. There's all these platforms now, and they all kind of have their niche, and they're helpful for certain ways, but it's all out there, so you can have it at your fingertips. You're going through our book and learning how to make extracts. So with that being said, are there any outstanding questions that we missed?
No outstanding questions, but I think quite a few people have already started making the strawberry extract, getting ready for summer. Some of the things they like to use it in are whipping cream for strawberry shortcakes,
Yes.
ice cream, icing, vinaigrettes.
Oh, vinaigrettes, yes.
Yes, we've done that. Yeah.
Yes, those
So
are
many
all
yummy things. Oh, and marshmallows, Judy likes to put it in too.
homemade marshmallows, summertime for s'mores with the homemade marshmallows and homemade graham crackers.
With the chocolate.
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay, that's got the wheels spinning.
And Laurie uses it in iced tea, which also sounds refreshingly delicious.
That does.
I need warmer weather.
I know, me too. But it's feeling like summer here right now, talking about all these fruity things. Raylene has a question about apricot kernels on Amazon. What should she look for? Raw and sweet? I'm guessing there are different types of kernels that you can buy, maybe.
So the ones that we use are the pure and air dried. We like the air dried. That's been our preference, and we always look for USDA organic in the ones that we've selected. And then again, sweet is what we recommend in the book because it's a little sweeter, but both bitter and sweet work just fine.
They're pretty close, to tell you the truth. I can't tell that much of a difference between the two so far.
Yep, great question. Okay.
Thank you. I think that's everything. There were quite a few comments on how using lots of kernels, it often doesn't, like almonds don't really taste like almonds, I think was the verdict, but you can get that almond extract flavor by using the kernels.
Exactly.
So interesting. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Right, because almonds
comes from an apricot kernel.
Well, and almonds are one of our favorite snacks. They taste so good, and they're sweet, and that's why we like them. But it's like one of only 2 nuts that I can eat. So I particularly like almonds because I can actually eat them. I have a nut allergy that keeps me from eating all others, but almonds and peanuts I can eat, and almonds are wonderful. But the extract just does not taste exactly like an almond tastes, and the bitter apricot kernels do the trick. So, well, thank you. Thanks to all of you for joining us today. We appreciate it. We have a celebration. Oh, go ahead.
We have a few minutes after that we want to just visit with some of you that are with us. We don't have too long. My oldest son just finished his finals and we're out to celebrate that it all went well.
Exactly. Our son in college. So we're taking the kids out for a way to go. Finals are done. Celebratory. Semester's over. Dinner tonight. So we do have a little bit of time where we'd love to hang out and chat just for a few minutes this time with those of you that want to hang around afterwards. We'll have Did turn off the recording here in just a second. But again, another big thank you from Jill and I. We appreciate it. I see there are several of you here that have been with us from our very first live from years and years ago. And we see those names and it just brings back a flood of memories from when we did our very first one and they were there and chatting. And it's so fun to have you with us. And thanks for carving an hour out of your day to spend it with us. We know time is important and we appreciate it.
And to all of the newcomers, this is your first time. I hope that you learned a lot. I hope that you're excited to learn more and go over to our website or join our Facebook group because we have so many people on there that are always extracting and you'll always get an answer to your questions.
Absolutely. So thanks everyone. Have a great evening. We'll see you in a couple of weeks when we go over our pineapple extract. Until then, happy extracting. Bye-bye.
Bye.